I like going for a run after dinner every night. When I was in college, I was popular as the bravest boy in our gang. I've always been the risk-taker, adventurous type. I live in a small town, and after my parents' death, I inherited their house. I created an office space for myself. I'm a professional gamer, and I write for a few tech websites. I was completely satisfied with my life until this happened. It was a warm Monday night. After dwelling with huge work pressure, I was dying to go out for a jog. As soon as I finished my dinner, I changed into my running clothes and started on the road. The area where I live is close to an abandoned factory site with dusty roads leading to the woods. After running for 5 to 7 minutes, I reached in front of the abandoned factory and stopped. I remembered my father telling me creepy stories about this factory. Many people in our town used to say this factory had a hidden space to run weird experiments. But one day, a fire broke out, and the entire place burned down. Since then, this plot has been an abandoned location. I watched the black, broken structure attentively. It still risks me to think some crazy people ran experiments here. I shrugged it off eventually and started to run again. I decided to make a round through the area surrounding this factory. This way, I will cover up a pretty big lap, and also going in a circle will help me find my way back home. I looked at my watch and saw it was 10:30 at night. The factory stood right in the middle of the ground. When I came closer to the entrance gate of the factory, I heard a noise. At first, I failed to spot it out, but the more I got to the entrance, the louder the sound got. It was the scream of a woman. My heart stopped right at that second. Did I hear that correctly? But before I could contemplate on that thought, the scream took place again. I turned to the factory immediately. The broken windows and shattered glass signified it had been abandoned for a long time. After a lot of hesitation, I started to walk towards the entrance. The weed-covered ground made it difficult to walk. The sound of wind and crickets chirping nearby gave me serious horror movie vibes. As I stood in front of the main door of the factory, something at the back of my mind kept telling me that I shouldn't be here. I pushed the half-broken door and tiptoed inside the building. A large empty hall stood in front of me. The floor was covered with dust and all kinds of dirt. At the end of the hall, I saw an iron stairway leading to the top floor, but the entire place seemed out of use. I was wondering if I should be going upstairs or not, just when I saw a thin ray of light coming from the floor under the staircase. All this time, I didn't notice it. I carefully walked to the area of the floor. I saw a square lid was placed on the floor. I could easily understand that this lid is nothing but a doorway to the basement area. Now, I've heard enough weird stories about the experiments that used to take place under this factory. I even heard about a secret lab residing under this property. I got down on my hands and knees and lifted the lid to peek inside. I wanted to know what was happening down there. What I saw terrified me for life. There were 6 to 7 people dressed weirdly. They were standing surrounding a cage, and inside the cage stood a gigantic evil creature. Its entire body was black, but its eyes were like lightning bolts. The lights I saw earlier were coming from its huge, bright eyes. The creature kept screaming in a squeaky voice, and the men tried to keep him contained in that cage. Suddenly, my phone rang and the creature looked right at me. I felt like I just went blind for a few seconds. A man said, "Don't look at the eyes! You must never look at the eyes of SCP-15. I got up and started to run for my life. It took me some time to adjust my vision, but I didn't stop. When I reached home, I got inside and closed the door right behind me. Since that night, I started to experience some weird changes in myself. No matter how much I ate or worked out, I kept losing weight rapidly. My neighbor, Mrs. Sherman, got shocked seeing me one day. "Oh my God, Jeremy, are you suffering from a serious illness?" "No, I have no idea, Mrs. Sherman," I said in a feeble voice. I went to my family doctor and many other doctors as well, but no one was able to detect what was happening to me. One night, I was sitting in my kitchen having dinner. Suddenly, I saw a black shadow moving in my backyard. My stomach dropped in fear. The door leading to the backyard is right beside my kitchen area. The black shadow rushed towards the door, and I saw the doorknob twisting on its own. I ran to hold the door to prevent whoever was trying to get inside. I almost slammed on the door, and as I looked to the window, a pair of floodlights flashed behind the glass window. It was the same creature I saw that night under the abandoned factory. I was standing face to face with this devil. The only obstacle between us was my wooden door. I knew the door was nothing to this giant. How could he have just followed me? I screamed for help, but there was no one to hear my cry. The dark, evil giant then banged hard on the door. I got pushed with a huge force and fell on the floor. The door broke down in front of my eyes. SCP-15 stood right in front of me. It opened its huge mouth. I saw sharp yellow teeth flashing inside its huge jaw. I screamed because I knew this is probably the last scream of my life, and then fainted on the ground. I woke up in a hospital bed 2 days after the incident. I was shocked to find myself alive. I asked the doctor if anyone found the creature that attacked me. She looked at me with mysterious eyes. "What do you think happened to you, Mr. Smith?" Convincingly, I said, "I was attacked! That devil attacked me! Didn't any of you see him? He has huge, bright eyes! God, his eyes!" The doctor said, "Calm down, Jeremy. You were found unconscious in your house. There were signs of a break-in at your back door. Your neighbor came to see you and thought you had been robbed and beaten. That's why they brought you here. Don't you remember any of that?" My eyes stunned in fear. I looked at the window and said, That means he's still out there."